Right, Kate. Yes, do the punnett square and the answers. It says a man who has type B blood, homozygous for type B blood, is married to a woman who has type O blood. What blood type will their children have? Y'all agree? All right, thank you. What would the genotypic ratio be? You could write 4-0 or 1-0, either way. Any better questions so far about blood typing? O is what? Recessive. A is dominant. B is dominant. But when A, B together, they are
Predominant.
All right, good. Next question. Who wants to come over here to do it? All right, come on. Says a woman with type A blood, heterozygous, is married to a type B person that is heterozygous. What blood type do their children have? Mm-hmm. And what would write down what the genotypic ratio would be? Y'all agree? All right. Good job. Y'all feeling okay with these? These are some of my favorite type of punnett squares to do. I need a volunteer. All right, Ethan. Usually you would do homozygous dominant, heterozygous, homozygous recessive. But on blood typing, it usually doesn't matter. So the man with AB blood is married. Is married to a woman with type O blood. They have 2 natural children and 1 adopted child. The children's blood types are A, B, and O. Which child was adopted? Y'all agree? Because these parents could only produce what types of blood? Type A and B. So I used to tell you to go home, ask your parents their blood type, and see if you could figure out what type of blood types you have, or possible blood types you have. And then at the last school I was at, I got a scathing email from a mom who said, because of your homework assignment, my child now knows that she's adopted. I'm serious. They were going to tell her when she turned 18. She found out as a freshman.
Oh my.
It was not good. I felt horrible. So I don't tell you to go home and do that anymore. But if you would like to go home and do that, you can go ask your parents their blood types, do the punnett square, and see if you can figure out what possible blood types you could have. But yeah, I don't require it anymore. The girl didn't really care. Both parents were not happy.
How do you know your
You can, when you get your blood taken, it's probably in your doctor's medical records. You can ask them, and they can probably tell you. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Depends on the state. I don't know about Louisiana.
It's always on your driver's license.
It's like if you get in a car crash and
Yeah, but they won't go by what's on your driver's license anyway. They always do a test just to make sure.
I feel like certain foods, like that's better for you, not better for you.
You're talking about like the blood type diet. There are hypotheses that that's true. Whether it actually is, I haven't seen enough data that says it is. I think it plays a mental thing with you as well. So you're like, oh, well, I'm type O, I can eat these things, that'd be good for me. Well, then you're more likely to exercise because you're eating right. And, you know, like it just kind of plays a mental game too. There is some data to support it. It's not proven. Other questions about blood type?
Will twins always have the same blood type?
Yes. Well, no. If they're identical, yes. If they're not identical, no. Now, if both parents are O, then the child would have O, but positive or negative could be different. Other questions about blood type? All right, so take out your homework from last night. That was the punnets and pedigrees. How'd y'all feel about it? All right, maybe, possibly. All right. So we're gonna have a little bit of fun. We're gonna turn everything, pretty much everything we do from here on out into a giant competition. Okay? You are competing in teams. If somebody's absent from your team, they're just absent. All right? So right now, there's a yellow piece of paper for your team. That is your team scorecard. That scorecard will have your team name on it. I'll tell you what the teams are in just a second, but team name requirements. You have to find a biology term that you think would be a good team name. Like I might not be team recessive because I wouldn't want to be hidden. I know you can't use team dominant. Okay? But anything we've talked about all year, come up with something that would be a good team name. And why? Because you're going to share it with the class. Your why should show me that you understand the concept, and it also needs to make sense of why it's a good team name, because whether you want to or not, we're all aiming to win. So your team name should be something that says, I'm going to win. Does that make sense? Okay, teams. U4, U4, U4. U4, U4, U4. All right. So you have one scorecard for your team. Turn, discuss, but stay 6 feet apart. Oh, and if two teams end up with the same name, you lose points starting off.
Oh.
So be careful. Be creative. Yeah, the whole semester, like you can't pull out some like random medal term that nobody knows.
So what, like, do we just write it on the scorecard?
Yes. Okay. Sorry, I forgot to give you all the directions. On your card, you should have a Crayola marker on one of the desks in your team. Write your team name really big on one side of the card. On the other side, write the people in your team's names.
Do you want us to? What if I can't think of how to spell it? Do you want us to write it down?
If he shows back up in time, we'll add it. But right now,
Can I ask you for a spell? That's a big one. I just want to be here.
Oh, because we're aggressive.
1 more minute. Come up with your name and get it written. And your reason.
Do we have to write down our reason, or can a reason be verbal?
Because it's aggressive more than yeah, that's what you're doing.
30 seconds, you need a team name and a reason. There's not one there, Doug?
I imagine it's fake. There's no way.
There's no way for sure you only want to be man.
That's like a good
Yeah, I bet Carter already done it.
Make sure your team member names are on the back, your team name is on the front. Team name? Your name. One side of the
It's not a
Why do they put bushes in like that?
All right. Everybody face forward, markers down.
Wasted money.
If your team name and your description fit, you're gonna earn yourself a point. Who would like to volunteer to go? Well, first off, I need one person from each group to stand up. You are the spokesperson for this part of the activity.
Wait, stand up.
Just stand up right there. All right, I need one team, 2 volunteers. All right, Josh? Yep, tell us the team name and why.
We're the tertiary consumers because we're on top of the food chain.
All right, good job. And since you volunteered to go first, y'all get 2 points.
Oh,
So on the back of your scorecard, you're gonna put 2 tally marks. You're just gonna keep up with tally marks. Matthew?
So the hyper comments because we want to have more knowledge than everyone else.
I like it. Give yourself K points. Ethan?
We are the mighty membranes, and we hold everything together, we don't see where you get past it.
Very good. Give yourself a point. Okay?
We're Team MRSA because we're aggressive and we're resistant to losers.
Okay, good. Give yourself a point.
Yeah.
Jamie?
We're Team Oxygen because we're full of it.
Okay? Give yourself a point. I get it. What is oxygen necessary for? Why is it important? For what? Process.
Cellular respiration.
Yeah, cellular respiration. All right. Sarah?
We're Team ATP because we're an awesome team of people and we're full of energy.
I like it. All right, give yourself a point. So, when you're recording points, you'll record tally marks on the back. We're going to be doing this competition from now through Friday. Lots of opportunities to earn points. The winning team will receive prizes after the league test. All right. So from here on out, everything we're doing, we're reviewing, getting ready for the league test. So everything we're doing has the possibility of earning points. Does that make sense? So for every team, there should be 2 whiteboards and 2 dry erase markers. Each table should have a dry erase board and a marker. So like they all ended up on one table, pass one to your team. So my desk people got our team. Does that make sense? Okay. Every 3 responses, the board has to rotate to the other person to write.
Can we discuss? Did you use one of them?
You're just not gonna rotate. We're gonna keep writing. What? Not yet. We'll use this, hopefully we'll get that far.
We're also team. erase, like, yeah, like, you do math. Like, those are dry erase, and then.
All right, so one person who doesn't have the board should be the scorekeeper right now. When you swap, then somebody else will be the scorekeeper. Please do not use my dry erase markers on the paper. All right, it makes them stop working much more quickly. So for this, you're gonna need your homework paper out. So as we go over the homework, you're gonna have opportunities to earn points. Is that okay with y'all? Some questions are questions that weren't on the paper, but we're gonna use the same information. I'll give you a little bit more time. If it was something you were supposed to do for homework, I'm not gonna give you much time to copy your answer down. You with me so far? Okay, next thing. Each board is an opportunity to earn a point. So if Kate writes the right answer and Kennedy writes the right answer, how many points do they get? 2. But if Kate turns around and tells Kennedy the answer, they get 0. So you're a team, you're working individually with your partner. Does that make sense? That will change as we get to different activities, but right now, you're working just with your partner. So we're not cheating, you're protecting your answer. Don't make me think you're cheating, because then I'm just gonna start telling you subtract a point.
Wait, so we can work, I can tell them.
Yes, you two can discuss, but Josh, sorry. You're gonna allow yourself.
Can we still get?
I think you'll still be okay.
Yes, you do need a paper towel to erase, so if you don't have a paper towel, get somebody at another table to pass you the paper towels. Are y'all with me? You understanding? Yes, one person will report all the points. So after a question, I'll say, all right, that was 1 point. If you got it right, tell your scorekeeper. And you'll tell them and they'll give you a title.
So is this like the first person?
Not right now, no. If you get it right, you get a point.
No, I was about to be like, all right.
Where you'll find out later.
Or,
All right,
I'll use what I got.
are we ready?
Sure.
So look at your pedigree homework. Where did we get to in here? I got a different point in each slide.
The first question we had for this was question 8 on page.
Okay, question 8.
This thing we didn't talk about. Josh.
So here, this is the first one you gotta do for homework, right?
Yeah.
All right, so a couple of questions just to kind of get practicing.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused with places.
It has the pedigrees on it, chart,
Yeah, this one.
split.
Case study.
Okay. Go to case study 3, question 8. About hemophilia? Is this one hemophilia? Okay. All right.
Yeah, yeah.
So just a couple general questions. On your whiteboard, are you ready? That you're going to write the answer. Make sure you're not sharing it with the other half of your team. Tell me how many generations and how many marriages are represented in this pedigree. Boards up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boards up. Four marriages. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 generations. 1, 2, 3, 4. For each answer you got correct, you got a point. So one team could have earned 4 points. Tell your scorekeeper, and let's move on.
Let's get so we get our other.
So we're equal with everybody else, right?
On your whiteboard, draw. Yeah, draw.
I'm a terrible.
Not
player.
every 3 responses. On your whiteboard, draw how you would represent an affected male and an affected female on a pedigree. Boards up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you drew a filled-in square and a filled-in circle, you earned a point. Tell your scorekeeper. It's just one. Yeah, 2 max for this one, right? 1 for each table. All right. On the board, there are 4 options. Autosomal dominant, autosomal recessive, sex-linked dominant, sex-linked recessive. Looking at this pedigree, what type of inheritance is occurring? Write it on your board. Boards up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, put your boards down. Don't erase it yet. Let's talk for a second. When you look at a pedigree, the first thing you're going to do is look at and say, does it skip a generation? Meaning, it's not the parents, but their kids get it. Does it skip a generation? Could a dominant trait skip a generation?
No.
No, because dominant can't hide. So if we look at generation 1, are they affected by this trait? No, but do their kids get it?
Yes.
So since it skips a generation, what do we know it has to be?
Recessive.
Recessive. Well, our options were autosomal dominant, autosomal recessive, sex-linked recessive, and sex-linked dominant, right? Well, we said it has to be recessive, so we know that both of these are out. Agreed? Now, I'm going to tell you a test-taking trick for biology 1. You ready? That's never the right answer. Sex-linked dominant will never, ever, ever, ever be the right answer in biology 1. AP biology pretty much too, but you're not going to choose this. Are there sex-linked dominant traits? Yes. Are we going to have to figure it out from a pedigree? No. Because they appear just like autosomal dominant on a pedigree. So that's not going to ever be the right answer. That's just a test-taking strategy because they always give you these 4 options, but that's never the right answer. Got it? Okay. But we said it skips generations, so dominant's out. So now we have to decide, is it autosomal recessive or sex-linked recessive? Sex-linked recessive traits show up more in who? Males, and rarely in females. If you look at this pedigree, would you say that's the case? Yes. It's showing up only in males right now. So that would be my first flag that it is a sex-linked recessive. Then I'm going to look at it and say, did I flip the? Oh, okay. Just checking. Let's go back to the right pedigree. Here. Yeah. Okay. It's still showing up only in males. We're going to check it and see if it's sex-linked recessive. So before you say it absolutely is, let's check it. Males have it. If it's sex-linked, what will we have to write underneath all the males? X and a Y, right? Because they're males. And if they have it, they would have a what on there? A little H. So now let's see if they could actually get it from what we have. We have a male up here and he doesn't have it. So what would he be? He would have a big H. We have a female who doesn't have it. So what does she have to have? She has to have a big H because she doesn't have it. But what does she have to give it to her son? A little H. Does that work? All right. Male has it. Do we have the same situation? Here? Same situation? Does it work? I would say sex and recessive. So if you're at sex and recessive, give yourself a point.
We get 2 points max.
Tell your scorekeeper. 2 points max. 1 per board. So hopefully you're swapping boards every 3 responses. Right? Okay, that's the third one. So this one, it's worth multiple points per board. I'm giving you very little time to do it.
Oh, that's great.
Why am I giving you very little time to do it? Because what was this? Homework.
You don't know.
What do I want you to do? I want you to answer, or tell me the genotypes for person 1, 2, and 3, and draw the Punnett square for question 10. Genotypes for person 1, 2, and 3, and draw the Punnett square for person 10. Question 10.
It's like X.
Person 1, 2, and 3,
On the 1, 2, 3.
and draw the Punnett square for question 10.
X and the H on top. On top. Put an H on that one. And the next one is going to be H. This is X, H, and then Y. H, and you go
Board.
with the H,
Just Punnett square. Board's up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's almost.
Yeah, you got
I think it's you sure?
That's what I'm saying, it's with that.
All right, so let's look at what we got. Person 1, here, don't have it, they're a female, but they had to give it to their son, so heterozygous. If you wrote it like this, that's fine too. If you wrote the little h first, it's fine, but it's not really the right way to write it. It means the same thing, but usually the recessive trait comes second. Person 2 has it and is a male, so you should have written this. Person 3 does not have it and is a male, so you should have written that. Great so far? All right, then it says person 3 has a second child.
Are we doing a point per person up there, or are we doing?
I haven't told you yet. They have a second child. What do we know about the mom? She had to have a little h to give it to her son. And they say it's a daughter. If your Punnett square looks like this, check it. yourself a point for the Punnett square. Give yourself a point for each person. So that's a total of 8 possible points per team. Tell your scorekeeper how many you earned. But don't erase. All right, you have your points recorded? Next to your Punnett square, I want you to write the probability that their daughter will have hemophilia. The probability that their daughter will have hemophilia. Probability that their daughter will have hemophilia. Boards up. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The correct answer is because, guys, they told us it was a daughter, right? So we're going to look at just the daughters. Do any of the daughters have hemophilia? No. So, another question for you. They have a third child. What is the probability that their third child could have hemophilia? Boards up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job. 25% is correct. Because this time we're looking at the whole Punnett square, because we didn't tell you if it was a male or a female. All right, so you get a point for the 25%, a point for the 0%. Tell your scorekeeper what you got.
Can you erase this now?
Yes, you can erase your board now. I think we're at board rotating time, right?
No, we got one.
One more? Okay. How y'all feeling? You're welcome. So look at number 11. Well, the pedigree that goes to number 11. First question. Y'all there? First question. In this pedigree, there's something different. There are people with lines through them. People with lines through them mean what? Write it down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They are deceased. Good. If you had your board up and you had an answer, you get a point. Tell your scorekeeper. Next question.
Yeah, we got one.
Yes, it doesn't swap time, then swap scores and boards.
You'll feel the urge to write.
Next question. In this pedigree, how many generations are represented? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boards up. 5 is correct. Remember, you're counting every row of shapes. So 1, or flip the board. Yeah, we went out of order. I started the competition early. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Next. Your options are sex-linked dominant, autosomal recessive, sex-linked recessive, and autosomal dominant. What type of inheritance does this pedigree show? Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sex-linked recessive is correct. You look at it, does it skip generations? Yes, so we know it's recessive. Parents don't have it, shows up in the kids, we know it's recessive. Then we say, does it show up in more males than females? Yes. So, for the most part, that tells us it's sex-linked recessive, especially since we're seeing it in all males. But then we can test it out and say, well, if he has it, a little h, mama would have had to give it to him. Could that have happened? Yes. And if you look, where it tells you in here that there's a dot, means that what? There's a carrier. So they told you carrier. So every time the son got it, was the mom a carrier? Mm-hmm. So sex-linked recessive. Tell your scorekeeper if you got a point. Now, I don't have slides for the next pedigrees, so go to the pedigree about albinism. Go to the pedigree about albinism. On the pedigree about albinism, tell me the genotypes of persons 1, 2, 3, and 4. The genotypes of persons 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Good old buddy.
1, 2, 3, and 4.
Actually played a game this I don't know if you played the game. Pulled out the my grandfather's house. And it was like, I'm doing a couple of beaches and set it up because it was like 2.
Boards up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So first off, to do this one, we have to read. It says albinism is recessive and autosomal, right? Which means that we're not going to use what letters in the genotype? We're not going to use X and Y. And it's just recessive, so that means we would use letters like A and A, big A and little a, right? So 3 has it, and it's recessive. So 3 we know has to be what? Little a. Put a check by it if you got number 3 right. So if we're following a recessive trait, we know everybody who doesn't have it has to have what letter? They have to have a big A. Look at 1 and 2. If they have to have a big A, if they have big A's, but they had a child that had 2 little A's, what do they both have to have? Both little A's. So put a check by those if you got them. Number 4, you're right, it was. So I hope you got 4 right. If you got 4 wrong, it's really sad for you, right? It told you it was heterozygous. So put a point by it. You can only get 4 points. 4 points. All right, so your scorekeeper, record your points.
Like 4 points.
Yeah, 4 points per board. 8. Told y'all we're gonna rack up a bunch of points, right?
Yeah.
All right. Look at the pedigree for attached earlobes. Look at the pedigree for attached earlobes. Attached. There we go. Straight across. They don't hang out. All right. So, are you ready? For this pedigree, how many generations and how many affected individuals? Boards up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There are 4 generations, 2 individuals, 2 affected individuals. 1 point if you got both of them right. So tell your team, tell your scorekeeper what you got. Next question.
I thought it was 4.
Does this pedigree for attached to your list show autosomal dominant, autosomal recessive, sex-linked dominant, sex-linked recessive?
So now, this is called up for after.
I think it's all.
So the teacher who was teaching more about it,
That's what it hasn't done.
anymore, so they don't really like
Yeah, it's probably. That or they both inside.
No, I didn't have it.
All right, boards up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Autosomal recessive is correct. I want to show you something real quick. Look at the bottom right, where we have that female who's affected. If you want to see if it's sex-linked recessive, and there's a female who's affected, that's where you want to check first. If it were sex-linked, it's not. But if it were, what would she have to be? She would have to have 2 little H's, right?
But that means her dad.
So her dad would have to be X little hy to give her that second little H, which means he would have to be colored in. So in a pedigree, if a female gets it and it's sex-linked, the dad has to have it. All right, that's just kind of a thing to check for. All right, look at pedigree on tongue rolling. Count every grade. Switch. Pedigree for tongue rolling. What type of inheritance is this? Is it autosomal dominant, autosomal recessive, sex-linked dominant, sex-linked recessive?
It's yeah, it's set.
Boards up in 5,
Two.
4, 3, 2, 1. Autosomal dominant is correct. Look at the very bottom.
I knew it was that. I knew it was that. I was trying to decide.
All right. So look at this part of the pedigree, the very bottom, the last 2 generations. Does it skip generations? No. But could it still be recessive? Possibly. Recessive doesn't have to skip a generation. But if it does skip a generation, we know it has to be recessive. So we can check it out. If this was going to be recessive, if I had little a here, and all of these, never mind, I'm thinking of a different pedigree. Forget it, it's joking. Never mind.
That's very past information that this trace found.
Yes, you do, from our fun little video, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I was thinking of a different pedigree that's coming up later. So, here's what we're gonna do now. How do you feel about pedigrees and Punnett squares? Feel okay?
Yeah.
Like you can handle it? Remember your elite test is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. Thursday and Friday are final exam days. I'm hoping that it's just gonna be a genetics test, which means it'll be Punnett squares, pedigrees, DNA, RNA. But we're gonna go into the next part of our review. Are you ready for it? You still need the whiteboards. I am going to start recording.